Welcome to For Good Measure, an interview series celebrating diverse composers and other creative artists. I'm Nanette McGuinness, Artistic Executive Director of Ensemble for these times. In this week's episode, we continue our Da Capo Conversations, a mini-series where we'll be giving familiar segments a topical twist. Today we revisit Vivian Fung's and Ursula Kwong-Brown's perspectives on how their identity and culture have impacted their music making or career. Here's what Vivian Fung had to say.
Yeah, that's the thing that I think was most difficult for me. I mean, growing up, I grew up in Canada, and I was, I can remember in my elementary school, I was routinely called a chink, and I was like, it was, it was discrimination and just a lack of awareness of where I came from and what that meant. And then, when I was in college, I didn't really have, I had mentors, and I'm grateful for my mentors, but I didn't really have someone I could talk to about all these issues that, have become so important to me, like identity and like gender, and also building a life around being a composer, not just writing music, but all the things that you have to do as human, having a family, building a life around it. And so when it comes to me giving back now that I'm in my 40s, I find it really important to talk about these things. And I love to do that as part of mentoring the next generation of composers. I don't see myself as particularly, one thing or another. I just compose, right? And what comes out. But I think, of course, it's a nature nurture type of thing. Of course, your environment influences your being and your music. And I think a lot of the differences between Canada and the US are socioeconomic, as far as the political infrastructure, each of the countries, they're very, very different. And that leads to differences in cultural tendencies, right? And so I would say that it's neither good or bad or better or worse. It's just very different. One thing I've noticed is, in Canada, being a Commonwealth country, there is an affinity to, more of the French or British influences. That there is that sort of tradition that is that Canadians are proud of, especially in Quebec with the tradition of the French. But I think, those generalizations are, again, they're generalizations. But I do think that, with the infrastructure of Canada having the support of the government, that makes a huge difference as far as, what gets programmed and what content there is there versus here. I lived in New York for almost 30 years, and you had the concentration of musicians there and the life, which is really rich. And New York is known for being a hub of cultural activity. On the West Coast, in the Bay Area, things are a lot more spread out. So, you have a lot of activity going on, but you not necessarily get to know about it because of the geographic spread. I think there's still a wealth of new music being written and being cultivated. It's just being spread out over this huge geographic area. So it can be a little bit trickier just because of that. But I think, being here for, a number of years, I've also gotten to know fabulous musicians to collaborate with. So I guess, for me, I had the best of all worlds because, having lived on the East Coast, I still connect with, my friends on the East Coast, and the West Coast, and making new friends here. And then being Canadian, I always have that, to go back to, and I still work with a lot of the groups up there. So I have all this trifecta of different groups that I get to work with, which is great.
Here's what Ursula Kwong-Brown had to say.
I think that just being the only person who looks like you in a room or on a given program is in itself hard. And I almost feel like I don't deserve to say it's hard, because I'm sure it's harder for people who are Black or brown than for me just being Asian. But I was often the only Asian person in my school, or like in the whole building, Like,
Yeah, right.
and so like that's hard. You just feel othered, even if nobody is being actively hostile. You just feel like you don't belong, or that you're only there because they need. I mean, I can't tell you the number of people who've like been like, oh, we need some diversity, do you have anything? It's just like, okay. Like, I'm glad you care about diversity, but like, could you like pretend it was because you liked my music? But like, it's okay.
Yeah, so it opened the door, but it still felt insulting somehow, right?
Yeah, I mean, I don't say no, but it's like,
Yeah, so having teachers who are like you would have made a difference.
Yes, I think it would definitely make a difference. Especially in the electronic music world, which is all men,
Mm-hmm,
and it's just like it's generally a space that's all men too, like a building that's all men, classrooms that all men. Like you just feel so uncomfortable because you're like the only XX, chromosome like in the room. It just feels, all the jokes are about sex, like everybody, you just sort of like laugh along because like what else do you do? But it's hard to feel like at home.
Right. You always feel othered in one way or another.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to For Good Measures Da Capo Conversations, and a special thank you to our guests for joining us today. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our podcast by clicking on the subscribe button, and support us by sharing it with your friends, posting about it on social media, and leaving us a rating and a review. To learn more about E4TT, our concert season online and in the Bay Area, or to make a tax-deductible donation, please visit us at www.e4tt.org. This podcast is made possible by grants from the California Arts Council, the San Francisco Arts Commission, Grants for the Arts, and generous donors like you. For Good Measures produced by Nanette McGuinness and Ensemble for These Times, and designed by Brennan Stokes, with special thanks to co-producer and audio engineer Stephanie M. Neumann. Remember to keep supporting equity in the arts, and tune in next week for Good Measure.